Welcome to another installment of Parent Perspective, a video series designed to educate and assist parents, guardians, and family members of our current Arkansas Tech University students. We know you play a major role in the success of your student, and we want your help getting your student to graduation. We hope that through these video series, we are able to provide you some valuable insight into the academic and social life of your student. Today, our focus is on advising. And to talk us through this process, we welcome Ms. Marika Letterman, the Director of the Advising Center. Welcome, Marika.
Thank you for having me.
Well, to get us started, if you could, this time of year, students are getting ready for the spring semester. Could you please tell us a little bit about your role with the Academic Advising Center?
Okay. I'm the Director of the Academic Advising Center. I have 8 professional advisors working for us, and we advise primarily the under 60 earned hour students.
Okay. So how is it determined? Is that the 60 credit hours? Is that how it's determined who you advise?
Yes, it's 60 earned hours, and so mainly those are the freshmen and the sophomore, although some freshmen do come in with a lot of concurrent credit. So we use those hours to identify who stays with us and then who goes to the academic department.
So if a student has earned hours coming in, concurrent hours, they do count on their total?
Yes, absolutely.
For those that don't meet that qualification, that under 60 hours, who is responsible for advising them?
So it depends on what their major is. It's with the academic departments. So if they are an English major, they would be advised by the English department. If they're a Bachelor of Professional Studies, they would go with the Bachelor of Professional Studies advisors.
Okay. All right, well, we'll get back to those students in a minute. But first, let's look at the first semester freshmen, those students with less than 60 earned hours. Mm-hmm. When does the spring 2019 registration period start?
So the early registration starts October 22nd. The way that we do registration is in waves, and so the upperclassmen get to register first, and so it's October 29th is usually where we hit that below 60 hours, and it just keeps on with the tier of earned hours and kind of goes in waves.
Okay. So how does a student start this process? Is it something that your staff reaches out to them as their advisor, or is it the responsibility of the student?
So I would like to say that it should be the student reaching out to us and to the faculty, because each department handles registration different, but we will email them. We reach out in different ways, but we'll start with emailing these students and saying, hey, it's time to register for your spring classes. Come in, make an appointment so that we can sit down and pick out your spring classes.
Okay. And so we know that sometimes students don't check their email.
Right.
Where can a student find their contact information for who their advisor is, whether they're in your office or another?
Right. So my front desk is always willing to help, but the easiest way is to go into their OneTech, into their registration tab, make sure that they're currently on the semester we're going into, so the spring semester, and it'll show their actual advisor. There'll be a little email symbol that they can email their advisor off of, but they can always type in their advisor's name into the personal directory, and it will pull up their phone number and where they're located.
Right, and that's located in their OneTech. Mm-hmm. OneTech portal, good. For these under 60-hour students, a lot of this being first-time, full-time freshmen, mm-hmm. Does this registration take place face-to-face, in person, or is this an online process that they do through their advisor, or is it face-to-face interaction?
So the majority of our freshmen are face-to-face students, and so we require them to come in and meet with us in a one-on-one session with their academic advisor. Unless they're an online student, then we can handle that over a phone appointment, sometimes over email. We really don't like to, just because we want to have those conversations of how are you doing in your current classes before we move forward to talking about the spring classes. Yeah.
Okay, so they can make that appointment. They can make an appointment.
Yes, so they'll make an appointment through the front desk with their academic advisor.
Great. So prior to coming to registration appointment, they may set it, maybe it's November 9th is their appointment. What should a student do, students that are registered with you guys, what should a student do to make sure that they're ready to register?
So it's always nice to be prepared. While they're with us, we're trying to teach them how to look at their curriculum, how to understand what they need in order to graduate. So I would say definitely just having a plan of what they want to take in the spring semester. And there's so many tools out there that they can use. We've got the course catalog that they can look at. We've got degree works that they can look at, college scheduler that they can go in and plug in those classes that they want to kind of see what their day will look like. That's always helpful when they come into the advising session, because then we can spend more time on those actual, how are your midterm classes or how are your midterm grades before we move on to talking about spring.
I know sometimes it comes up that students have a hold on their account for one reason or another, a parking ticket or something of that nature. Do those have to be cleared before they can advise?
Yes, they actually do have to be cleared before they can advise. Student Accounts has done a really good job of working out certain balances under $500 don't have a hold on their account usually. So they need to make sure, check their OneTech. It will tell them if they have any registration holds, because they won't be able to register if they do have holds.
Sure. I often hear this from students is like they don't want their class to fill up and they don't want to miss their, if they don't register early enough, they feel like they'll miss their class. How often do required classes, especially for our freshmen, fill up? And like with the students below 60 hours, do they just miss out on those, or do they really actually fill up, or is that more urban legend?
That kind of urban legend in a way. So the way that we do registration with the different waves, with the upperclassmen being able to register first, that kind of takes care of that problem for us. So a freshman shouldn't be registering in a senior class anyways. But if we do run into an issue where there is a class that they absolutely need to progress in their curriculum, the departments are really wonderful about sitting down with that student, talking to them, figuring out, okay, is this a dire situation? Do we need to get this student in a class? So I think it's more of an urban legend, because we can usually work things out for them to help them progress.
The problem may be the class may not be at the time they want.
Yes,
Maybe an 8
yes.
a.m.
It may be
class.
an 8 a.m. class, and we might have to take an 8 a.m. class.
Before they leave for the semester, is there an end date where all students under 60 hours should be registered by?
We would like for them to be registered before their finals, before they take their finals. So I would definitely say that parents should encourage them to be seeing their academic advisor, making an appointment, or seeing their faculty advisor. But there is no end date as far as if campus is open and classes haven't started yet, we can see them and we can register them, no problem.
Great. Somewhat new to our campus is the winter intersession. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, and to our parents a little bit about that, and who might benefit from these classes?
So winter intersession starts December 17th and it will end January 4th. And primarily we see a lot of these students that are wanting to just kind of get a class out of the way within those 20 days or so. It just kind of depends if it's a scholarship requirement that they need to get knocked out, or they just really want to have something to do over Christmas break. One thing I will say is that you are expected to, possibly be writing a paper on Christmas. So if you're wanting to take classes during winter intersession, definitely know that it's work, but it could be worth it, absolutely.
Are they primarily online, or is it both?
They are primarily online, yes, and it's a lot of the gen ed, so like psychology, sociology. There's an EAM class. There's a couple of professional study classes out there as well.
Okay. Now, if they don't get the perfect schedule, or over the course, by the time they register for their class and they decide they want to change their major or just change a class because of another obligation or work obligation, how does a student go about changing their classes that they already have set for the spring?
So you can always email your advisor to figure out a time to come in and talk to them. If you're not happy with the schedule, or like you said, if something didn't pan out with a class that you were going to take, you can always come into the advising center if you're assigned to one of the advisors and change your schedule all the way until the 5th class day. Now, we don't really recommend until 5th class day, because then you miss out on some things. But they can always visit with their faculty advisor as well if they want to change something.
Okay, sure. And so that gets us to those students that are over 60 hours, visiting back to them, those ones that have faculty advisors,
Right.
advisors within their department. How does that advising process start? How does it begin for them?
So, if you are assigned to a faculty advisor, each department is going to handle that differently. So, some of the faculty have sign up sheets outside of their office. Some of them want you to schedule an appointment through email. Some of them want you to visit their office hours. It's just going to kind of depend on what their department expects of you. So, I would say that contact your faculty advisor. If you don't have one assigned, visit with the admin specialist in the department, and they should be able to connect you with who you need to for your faculty advising appointment.
Sure. So that process is begun. You might as well go ahead and see if it's good. Some
Right.
faculty folks will have those
Yes.
appointments set up and ready to go for that.
Absolutely.
Good. And it's correct. Those those advisors are also listed on their one tech, just like they
Yes,
are with
they
the.
should be, yes.
And then the admin specialist in the colleges, those are found in where the dean for each college is housed. Those admin specialists are usually within that department.
With the dean or the department head, yes. Mhm.
Do you in the Academic Advising Center, do you play any role in advising the students over 60 hours? Or is that solely done through them, or can you provide some assistance to students above 60 hours?
I like for that to happen within the departments, but my staff and I are always willing to sit down with a student if they've got questions, or if we can guide them in a certain direction, or just help them kind of navigate this registration process. It can be a little bit overwhelming, so we're always willing to help, but I do like for the students to visit with their actual faculty advisor.
Sure, great. And you touched on this a little bit earlier, but these upper class students are getting closer to graduation, and they're trying to limit the amount of classes they have to
Absolutely.
take. So in the case that their class isn't offered that they needed or they wanted, what are the steps that students need to go to kind of get that addressed or look into that?
I would start with your faculty advisor, and then they will either talk to their department head, or the department head will talk to the dean. Usually there is a solution within the department. The department head, they're wonderful about working out certain classes that they can take to substitute if there is, no option for the student to take to graduate.
Thank you for shedding some light on this with
Absolutely.
us, America. We definitely appreciate that. As we get ready to wrap up the fall semester, registration is about to begin, and that has already begun for some of our upper class students. So that's great questions you can be asking your loved one about when their appointment is, if they've made contact with their academic advisor, whether it be in the advising center or in their academic college. So by the early part of December, everybody should have that spring schedule laid out and ready to go. And we're looking forward to working with them in the spring semester. So, America, I appreciate you taking the time to help us understand this process and provide some insight into this process.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, that concludes our episode of Parent Perspective here on Advising, and we thank you for joining us. Have a good day.